Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Saloon Podcast. I'm your host Mirage, and I'm joined by, as usual, our two mainstays, Burner/Coma and Mellow Sony.
Hi, that was a mainstay. I improved up in the world. Let's go.
Mellow's moving up in the world, ladies and gents.
Yeah, I decided to make Mellow a mainstay because Mellow honestly adds a lot.
Dude is a legend if I've ever seen one.
I'm not!
Agreed.
Anyway, we're getting distracted already.
Yeah. Anyways, take it away, you two.
Today we are continuing our little mini Nintendo marathon. We had a little bit of a break with the Wii U menu because, Mellow unfortunately wasn't available during that time, but we have him back. So let's do the funny Inkling game now.
Oh boy, we know what comes after one, right? Do you know what comes after one?
Yep.
2.
I was gonna say 6.
You ruined the joke.
Damn it!
No.
Oh!
Yes, we're doing Splatoon 2, also known as Burner's episode.
Yeah. Well, it's more like it's both your episode and Burner's episode, more so than it is mine, because I barely played Splatoon enough to I've played Splatoon, but not enough to I've played Splatoon 2, but not enough to actually remember everything. So I'll probably only chime in when I do remember something very clearly.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Let's hear.
Basically.
Splatoon 2 was one of the flagship titles on the Nintendo Switch, released in the launch year, and it was pretty much the talk of the town throughout most of the summer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
couldn't agree more with that.
there are lots of good games in the Switch's launch year, but Splatoon 2, alongside Odyssey, were the ones that really stuck out to me personally.
Yeah.
Not only is Splatoon 2 look better in pretty much every single way, it just feels like a more complete game than the original. Even going back to the first game in 2021, or any other time before the servers get shut down, if you're watching this in the future when they do eventually get shut down, I dread the day that it comes. But yeah, Splatoon 2 is just so easy to go back to. It's easy to get frustrated by these games, but it just keeps you coming back just because you just enjoy the world and you enjoy these characters.
Yeah. Splatoon 2, I will admit, is really fun. Despite the fact that I may have had my moments where I couldn't just help but to get angry at it. Good supper.
But
That's the idea.
To me, as Splatoon 2, I actually did get it in one of my first Switch games, because I did get my Switch day one, but I didn't have any games at the time. And then when Splatoon 2 released, I'm like, I'll get Splatoon 2, and that was my first game that I played on the Switch. After that was Sonic Mania, but we're not talking about that. But Splatoon
we'll talk
2
about that once we get to the Sonic Marathon.
But going back to Splatoon 2, it's a game that I enjoyed a lot. I liked what it offered, and although I did not play the first game, I felt like I got a good grasp of what the first game was already about.
Yeah.
Just by playing the second one.
Yeah, and speaking of, it's a good thing you already brought that up, Mello, as a nice little segue. Let's go ahead and get into this game's story, because
This is the one caveat I have to Splatoon 2, the story.
Yeah, even I can admit the story feels like a massive downgrade. But let's go ahead and talk about it proper. So, 2 years have passed since the original Splatoon, and then we also had new idols, but unfortunately, one of the original Split sisters, Callie, goes missing. I imagine the final Splatfest of the first game had something to do with it. And you, as a new up-and-coming Inkling, are enlisted as Agent 4 under the watchful eye of Marie. And apparently the Octarians have taken the Zapfish. Again. Go.
Oh boy.
Yo. And one thing I do like is when she does it to stay fresh in the beginning, she's like,
oh yeah.
Me? Oh, that's a first.
Yeah.
Which implies that the Inklings are so forgetful that they forgot about the Squid Sisters entirely.
Either then or Agent 4 is just completely out of touch with trends.
Like under the rock.
Yeah.
Like me.
Ayo. But yeah, that game's story, it's a lot of a downgrade, at least to me, from the first.
As bland and kind of boring as a story as it isn't without its comedic moments, mostly from the snarkiness of Marine.
Yes, the Marine is very snarky. And like, although yes, I do enjoy her dialogue, I also miss, which I feel like this is what the game was trying to do, miss Callie's positive banter.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they were like the polar opposites from each other, weren't they?
Yes.
And until like a massive update came in after you beat the story mode, you didn't really get that in 2, which is something I sorely missed, honestly.
Yeah, that does sound like it's kind of a shame.
But speaking of updates, we are just nailing our segues tonight. I think that's
no kidding.
I think that's a pretty good way to segue into some of the notable improvements a lot of this game saw. So, I think a good place to start is with the customization aspect. Not only is there loads more gear in order to collect, but there also is an upgrade to the gear system that we mentioned during our Splatoon 1 episode.
Gear system? You mean double gear? No, I'm kidding.
Mega Man joke. But yes, I meant to say ability system. In the first game, you had to constantly re-roll to get the abilities that you want. A big improvement that I'm really happy that they included in this game is the ability to, put as many sub-abilities on your piece of gear as the ones that we would actually like. So, say you have a hat that has swim speed up, and you would like some Ink Saver Main. If you have a round of a lot of chunks, you can put as many Ink Saver Mains. So if you have three slots open, and if you want to put Ink Saver Main in all of them, you can, provided you have the chunks necessary. How do you get them? How do you get the chunks? You have to go through online battles, and you can still use the roulette function if you so desire. But I think this also makes grinding for perfect gear sets a lot less of a headache in order to do.
Granted, you have to get a lot of those chunks, but at least there is an option that you want to be more specific with, like, oh, what type of abilities do I want? It's there for you, which I think the game 4, because I did actually manage to play the first game while I was gone, and I wasn't used to it. And so it's like, it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
Thinking, let's get, instead of randomness, go spin the wheel. Instead, you can spin the wheel, but you also can kind of control it, which is, I like.
Yeah, it's not just, you spin the wheel, but you don't have any control over what you get.
Yeah, that was a massive improvement to the ability system that I wholeheartedly welcome.
Yeah, so you can kind of sort of pick and choose.
I think another notable improvement has to do with the story mode itself in Octo Canyon. Not only do you have access to the hero shot at the start of the game as per usual, but now all of the specific hero weapons are not locked behind the amiibo. You actually unlock them as you progress through the story.
Oh, nice!
Yes, you unlock them as you progress through the story. One caveat, at least to me, in terms of that, which, in order to get the replicas of these weapons, you have to beat every single stage with the weapon. Granted, they are made possible so you can do this, but some of them can be a bit tedious to do. But if you're willing to go through it, you get replicas of every single weapon of the hero variety.
So yeah, this is technically the first game in the series where there is a 1000% completion category. So, since there's 10 different weapons now, and there's a hero weapon for every single type of weapon now. So that's
dang.
Yep, there's that.
Yep,
that's insane.
And including a new weapon that is exclusive to the second game, Dualies.
Oh, that's right, the Splat Dualies.
Yes. Basically, you have 2 guns instead of 1.
Yeah.
And I forget which button you have to press, but if you press it 2 times, you do a dodge roll.
It's the one.
Jump button.
Pressing the jump button while firing will let you do 2 dodge rolls, and I think dualies are a very welcome addition. I like their inclusion. They're really, really fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
And it's like, and sorry, before you go into that, I will explain one thing about the weapon. Is that I do like what they did to make it not very overpowered, that after you do your dashes, you kind of lag up a bit and stagger.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that I actually like that because it's not, because if you just do a dodge one can keep on moving, I feel like that would be a bit overpowered. So I would actually thank them for kind of balancing out.
Yeah, there you go. But there is also another weapon to add to that incredibly long list, which is the Brella.
Oh yes, I forgot about that one too.
The Brella is essentially like a shotgun type of weapon. You press the button once and then it fires a shot. But if you hold down the fire button, you get a shield. And it protects you from any oncoming attacks, though it does have a limit. You are still using up your ink while you're using the shield, and if the barrier goes out, well, you're pretty much left defenseless.
Right.
That is kind of a shame.
If that's the case, run. But,
Yeah.
but
That
there
sounds
is
like my type of weapon, though, now that you mention it.
There you go. And there is types of umbrellas where if you hold it, it will shoot the umbrella head forward.
Yeah, Splat Umbrella, the Tent Umbrella, those types of weapons.
Yeah, they will shoot it forward. So basically, your shield will keep on moving.
Oh,
So
okay.
you don't have to hold the button, but it does have the same properties as it, where if they shoot it a couple times, it will go down. So
Yeah,
Huh. Interesting.
there's lots of new things to explore in this game.
Sounds like it.
But there is also some other changes to the weapons that I do honestly appreciate. And one of my big caveats when the game starts to rear its ugly head. So
Uh-oh.
a lot of the weapons have been rebalanced, and I think a lot of them have been rebalanced for the better. Splat chargers are now a lot less, brittle than their scope equivalents, because now, if you charge and start swimming through your ink, you can hold your charge and then release it when you see a target. I think this is a very, very, very satisfying addition, and I really like playing chargers in this game more than more than scopes.
Yeah.
get away.
Yeah. Yeah.
And weapons like the roller now have a vertical flick where if you jump and then swing, you get a shot that does a lot of damage and has a lot of vertical range.
That's my type of weapon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though I don't think some weapons have been balanced for the better. One of my big problems with Splatoon 2 in terms of its weapons, I feel like the Octobrush is one of the most unbalanced weapons ever now.
Oh, no.
So-
Wait, was that a weapon in the first game?
Yes, it was a weapon in the first game.
Okay. Wanted to double check.
Yeah, the Octobrush is what many people consider to be the better equivalent to the Ink Brush, which is my main weapon. And you still get a good amount of roll speed, but you get so much more range and damage out of your swings. It's kind of comical.
Oh, wow.
I like it because it's just a huge rush.
Yeah.
And basically, when you swing it, it's like, I'm gonna get him.
Yo, epic Mickey moment.
Oh god.
But yeah, it's my big caveat. I'm not a big fan of that weapon. It's just bleh. But let's shift to a topic that is more fun. Let's go over one of the biggest things released for Splatoon 2 during its prime in 2018. Let's talk about the Octo Expansion.
Oh
yeah.
Boy. This is where I will shine. Because I remember playing this every day, like the past month and a half.
Oh, wow.
And man, the Octo Expansion, it is certainly interesting. Very.
And honestly, I wish it was this game's story mode instead of the actual story mode that we got.
Right. But at least I'm grateful that it's still there.
Yeah, me too. And it's truly something special. Granted,
Yes.
it is one of the first times Splatoon has ever known that it's paid DLC, but let me just tell you right now, it is so worth it. It is beyond worth it.
Yes.
So does it compensate for the game's original story?
I would say so.
Tenfold.
So the story begins actually around immediately after, technically speaking, Splatoon 1. It takes place, I believe, sometime after Splatoon 1. It's like the original story. Except when you start the game, you hear a familiar song. The original Calamari Incantation song.
Ooh.
The original, you hear it in the background. And then when you wake up, you are an Octoling. And just like how you choose how to design your character, stuff like that, you play as an Octoling who's trying to get out of the underground, as in you're in a subway, like a metro station.
Ooh.
You meet with Captain Cuttlefish. Deep Sea Metro, thank you. You meet with Captain Cuttlefish, who, by the way, is a racist. Let's get that out of the way now. Captain Cuttlefish is a racist.
Yikes.
They're not Octoling, and they're kitties and they're bips and bops.
Yeah, and also he raps with one of the newer idols, but we'll get into that later. And basically, your goal is well, you meet with the telephone that you want to go to the Promised Land, which is to the surface.
Alright.
And in order to get to the Promised Land, you have to collect things called fangs, which are essentially different pieces to the device that is used to take you to the Promised Land.
Yes.
And all 4 of them are scattered across stations across the Deep Sea Metro line. If you want to get to the Fang stations, you got to go through sets of stages that have their own mini challenges within them, and they aren't with hero weapons. In fact, every main weapon is a part of this whole shindig now.
It is,
wow.
And you can also, in the beginning of every stage, it gives you selection which one to choose, albeit one with easy or one with absolute hard. And basically, it gives you this range of, if you played this stage before, you want to go harder? There you go.
And yeah, it gives you that freedom of illusion that you didn't already have in the original story mode, and it makes things not only more challenging, but also more rewarding and more fun in the long term.
To an extent, I will say. Because one character that is new to this story as well, you will hate. Absolutely hate. And
Really?
It goes by the name of a small little sea cucumber called CQ.
Oh.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You're gonna hate him. Reason being, when you start a mission, and if you fail that mission, you'll say what the mission was, test failed. And you know what happens? He makes you explode with the opposing ink, causing you to die, and you have to restart it again.
Ooh.
Yeah, some missions are they're a little much, I must say. Stuff like the limited ink missions and the 8-ball missions.
And girl power?
Well, actually, I found girl power to actually be pretty fun. And it seems to be a controversial stage, all things considered.
I mean, it's fun but hard, I will say that. But you will hate CQ, and he will hate you. I mean, he doesn't say it, but he will hit you.
Yeah. But, yeah, in my opinion, Octo Expansion is just the whole entire package. There's a lot of great awesome music added to the game, and you can play as, once you finish the game, you can get to unlock the ability to play as Octolings, you get to, and like, there's an awesome new final boss included, and like, this whole package is like some of the best DLC I've ever played in a game, and I feel like this should be the gold standard Nintendo DLC should be held to.
Yes, and let's not skip the style that it goes for. It goes synth wave, 80s, early 90s, late 80s. Let's go.
Oh wow.
Because like when you play stages, you get to see stuff in the background like Walkmans, vinyls.
Oh wow.
And even at some points, you get to see Game & Watches, GameCubes in the background, and like the style that it goes for. It's like, if you're a fan of that type of stuff, man, you're gonna enjoy this game 100%.
100%.
You're gonna enjoy the Octo Expansion like how I did.
And I did.
Style was absolute perfection.
Yes, it was truly fantastic.
Yes.
Well, let's go ahead and close out this episode by talking about another aspect of the game that also has its own set of caveats, but I think is a very welcome addition to the base game. And that being Salmon Run.
Oh, yes.
Salmon Run is essentially Splatoon's version of a horde mode. Basically like Call of Duty Zombies, or a very specific example, SRP2 Chaos mode.
Yeah.
And
which recently surfaced.
Yeah. In this mode, you are tasked with collecting the golden eggs of boss salmonids, and each of the different types of salmonids has their own distinct methods of attacking you. and you gotta work together with your team in order to collect the amount of eggs during the session that they're out of the water. If you fail, you will get immediately thrown out, and the only two ways to fail is that if you either run out of time or all your teammates die. So
yes, and actually, reviving works differently in this mode as well. If you die, you'll spawn inside of a life preserver, and you'll basically hop around. And someone has to shoot you with your own ink. I forget how many times. But if they hit you with their ink, you'll get revived.
So yeah,
I like the idea of just you hopping around a preserver.
It's kind of silly and adorable, but this mode requires a lot of teamwork, and it comes with its own set of problems. Granted, playing with friends in this mode is absolutely chaotic and amazing, but playing with randos, it's a bit of a hit and miss.
Because some of them might actively try to sabotage you, work with you, or don't know what they're doing. Or all three.
Yeah, it depends on how many... Depending on how many different people there are on the map, I assume.
Great stats help you if all three happen.
Right, and just like Burner said, though, if you play with friends, it's an absolute blast.
Oh yeah, playing with friends, this Salmon Run is absolutely enjoyable. But, but, it isn't always available to play. And that, in my opinion, is dumb.
I forget what day specifically you can't play. I believe it's like random with like, oh, you can't play on these days. It's like, but why?
I don't know. It's
let me have fun, dang it.
It's a fun mode, and it's just not available all the time, and it sucks. And I really wish that it was, because it's legitimately one of the best additions to the game, and it's just locked out for a lot of time. But I suppose that's just me being wishy-washy and wanting to play it more. But hopefully in Splatoon 3 there's a mode that's an equivalent to this. So there you go.
That doesn't make you have to not play on days. It makes you play it every day if you want.
Yeah, and that would be a big thing, like ranked modes and stuff like that. That'd be cool. I'd appreciate that.
Yeah. I think though. Yeah.
I feel like that is everything that we wanted to cover, though. We covered a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yes. And there's still a lot more, but play the game.
Yeah. I do want to close this video out by saying that Splatoon 2, for everything that I complain about the game, I know that not everybody that I know is going to see this episode, but I have a lot of good memories with this game that I have made, and it pretty much was a good reason why I was able to make a lot of the closest friends that I know today. So, if not for this game and what it did, the silly little game where you shoot ink from like a big gun or use a washing machine and like a rocket launcher or something like that. It's
in a bathtub.
In a bathtub, yeah. I probably would not be the happy-go-lucky person that I am today. So, anyway, I have to thank this game for everything that it does.
Yeah.
Apologies if this little sentimentality came a little clear out of nowhere, but that's legitimately how I feel about Splatoon 2 when just looking at my personal thoughts on the game alone.
Yeah, and that's perfectly understandable, my guy. So, you're all in the clear.
Yeah, you have every reason to feel the way you feel towards the game.
Even though I still hate the octopus to this day. Okay, thank you all for tuning in.
We'll see. We'll catch you next time. Nolly, you got anything to say?
Do you want me to say what I have to end it off every single time?
I mean, it's up to you. Just ask.
Well, I'll go ahead and do it then. I feel so pressured. Anyway, as always, you everyone take care, and wacky, wavy, inflatable, arm flailing Oscar Minor Weeder Man. Alright? Bye!